welcome back to the GCSE Maths series. Today we're going to be looking at surface area and volume of a prism. So, a prism is a 3D shape with a 2D cross-section that spans a length L. And what I mean by this, an example would be a triangular prism would look something like, let me get in black. A triangular prism would look something like this, with a 2D cross-section spanning the length L. So this is our right angle triangle. This is our 2D cross section, and it spans the length L. Now, to work out the surface area of a prism like this, we just work out the area of all the faces of the prism. So if you just think about it, we have our two triangles. We'd work out the area of these, doing base times height over 2. Then we have this rectangle here at the back, which is going to be the length times by the height of our triangle. Then we have the bottom rectangle, which is going to be length times by base. And then we have our slanted rectangle, which is going to be length times by our, let's call this C, from Pythagoras. And what we would do is we would work out the areas of all of these individual shapes, add them together, because remember, surface area is all of the area on the exterior of our 3D shape. Okay, now looking at volume, the way we'd work out volume is by working out, say if we had an outer rectangular prism, which looks something like this. This is our rectangular prism. We have our 2D cross-sectional area of our rectangle. So we work out the area of our rectangle times the length L times by how far it goes back. Because if you have to think about the cross-section as pieces of paper, length tells us exactly how many times the cross-section fits into the prism, which is another way of describing volume. Volume is how much of something, so how much water, for example, could fit in a glass. That's to do with volume. How many of these cross-sectional areas, these rectangles, can fit if you line them all up as pieces of paper in the rectangular prism. That's the way to think about volume. Volume to do with inside, surface area is to do with outside. So, now looking at some questions, a cuboid has sides 10 centimeters. Let me just draw this out. 10 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 4 centimeters. Work out the total surface area. So if I'm to break down the cuboid, we have two rectangles at the front and back. Then we have two rectangles on the left and right, and two rectangles on the top and bottom. Hence, we can work out that this is 10 by 6, which makes this 60, and this is 10 by 6, which is going to be 60 here, the front and back. Then, looking at the sides, we have 4 on the bottom, 10 on top, which makes this 40 and 40. Then, looking at top and bottom rectangles, we have 6 by 4, which makes this 24. And we have 6 by 4 here, which is 24. Now, if we were to add these all together, we would get the total area on the exterior of our shape, which is what we're looking for, which makes this 248 centimeters squared. And because we're dealing with area, the units are centimeters squared. So, now looking at question 2. Actually, give question 2 and 3 a go by yourselves. Pause the video, and then I'll go over the answers, and so you can check your solutions to see if you've already learned or you already know how to, and you just want to test your knowledge. So, A cube has a volume of 150 centimeters cubed. So volume equals to 150 centimeters cubed. Find the length of one side. And we know that a cube is like a square with loads of different faces. So, oh, okay, this question is not to do with surface area. Okay, I think this is meant to say a cube has a surface area of 150 centimeters squared. So yeah, let's just call it that. Surface area equals to 150 centimeters squared. Okay, so if it's to have 150 centimeters squared, we know that all dimensions of our cube are going to be the same thing, because as in each face will be a square in a cube. It's like a Rubik's cube. Each side is 3 by 3. So each dimension of our cube will be the same, which means when we do our surface area and we calculate that, okay, x and x, the area is x squared, we know that each one of our faces is going to be the exact same area. There's going to be no difference because all the dimensions are the same. So no matter which way you look at a square on a cube, it's going to be the same area. So we can call this 6x squared is equal to 150 centimeters squared, because there's 6 cubes, the 6 faces in a cube, and each one's going to have the area of x squared. So now, dividing both sides of the equation by 6, we get 150 divided by 6, x squared is equal to 25. That means x is equal to the square root of 25, which is equal to 5. So the length of each side is 5 centimeters squared. Okay, so now looking at volume of a prism questions. The first question tells us that we have a triangular prism with a triangle base of 6 centimeters. 6 centimeters is going to be here. Has a length of 10 centimeters and a vertical height of 4 centimeters. And to work out the volume of a prism, we find the area of a cross section times by the length. So the cross section in this case is of our original triangle, which is 4 centimeters in height and 6 centimeters at the base. So using base times height divided by 2, we work out that the area of the cross section is 24 divided by 2, which is equal to 12 centimeters squared. So we can then use our cross-sectional area times it by our length to work out the entire volume of the cube, which is going to be 12 times 10, which is equal to 120 centimeters cubed. Okay, moving on to the next question. We have a cube has a volume, so a cube has a volume of 343 centimeters cubed. Find the length of one side. So we have to work out x times by the length is going to be x as well, because it's a cube we're dealing with. So x times x times x, which is going to be our cross-sectional area, which is our square, times by our length, is going to end up with x cubed is equal to 343, which means x is now going to be equal to the cubed root of 343. Hence, when we work this out, x is going to be 7 centimeters. And this means that our cube is going to look something like this. 7, 7, and 7. Okay, moving on to the next question. A cuboid has a volume of 240 centimeters cubed. Its base is 6 centimeters by 5 centimeters, find the height. So we have that the cube is 6 centimeters by 5 centimeters. That is the base of the cuboid. So we now need to work out the height. So we know that it is cross-sectional area times by length. So we can call our height our x centimeters because it's what we need to find. And to normally work out our cross-sectional area, in this case a rectangle, we will need to do the two sides of the rectangle times together, right? So we can do that as normal. So we call this 6x, then times by our length, which is our 5, is going to give us 240 centimeters cubed. Then to get this in terms of x, we can get 6x, divide 5 from both sides, which is then going to be equal to 240 divided by 5, which gives us 48. Now to get x alone, we have to divide through by 6 again, so divide both sides by 6. X is going to become 8 centimeters, and therefore our height is 8 centimeters. Okay, that's going to conclude today's video on surface area and volume of prisms. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.